Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk, straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, and alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
Welcome back, Know-It-Alls. Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are ready to go here, and guess what's just around the corner? It's football, baby. It's finally back. Tomorrow night, Tampa Bay against the Dallas Cowboys. I am super excited. Can't wait.
Let's go. It's almost like it's surreal for me. I can't even believe it. It seems
It's
like
here.
it's been so long for me, and now it's finally here. I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, it is kind of happening. It's like it's something that I've longed for that I thought would never even happen, and now it's here, and I'm kind of like, wow, wouldn't you think of that? Wow. But we are excited. And this week one is crazy. You know how the NFL does it. They throw out all the matchups here that just scratch your head, and you don't know what's coming out of the teams, coming out of camp and everything. You're not sure, and you're just scratching your head looking at these picks and everything, and you're going like, I don't know. It could be this guy. It could be this. It could go either way. It's unbelievable, but that's why we love the sport, and we're all here to talk about it. Football on the Know Show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to all of our sponsors now who just recently joined the team with us now, Joe. That's right. PPK, Paul Perry Kitchens now here in Scotia, Glenville, New York.
Yeah,
they joined and supported the show as well, so welcome aboard with them, along with Mohawk Honda, Johnstone Supply, and Buck Environmental Solutions. If you haven't yet, join our group, Facebook group. It's Football on the Know Show. And then also go to Twitter. We're broadcasting from Twitter and Facebook and Twitter and
YouTube.
And YouTube. That's right. I said Twitter twice.
Same thing.
YouTube,
go over to YouTube, Football on the
check
Know
it out.
Show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate it. Hit the notification bell. Get all our latest and greatest updated content. And become a know-it-all. Enjoy football with us. Listen, we like to bounce ideas, opinions back and forth with you guys out there. Don't be shy. Feel free to jump right into the conversation. You can ask anything. It doesn't even have to be about a topic we're talking about. It could be about fantasy football. It could be about the upcoming games. It could be about your team, how disappointed or excited you are about your team, about a move, about something that they decided to do. Feel free to drop in the comments, say hello, and give us your own opinions and whatever questions you may need.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are asking everybody tonight, too. I know you guys have done your fantasy drafts already by now. So down in the comments, leave some picks. And Joe will be checking the Facebook and YouTube and things like that for your guys' lineups. Let's see your lineups. Let's take a look at them. Let's give them a trade or a grade, and we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look, and we'll grade your fantasy out there. And don't put any lewd weird stuff out there. All right, we're talking about fantasy. We're talking about fantasy football. Okay, so let's not get nuts. But in the meantime,
if you want to, go ahead,
Joe.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big headline I think that hit the internet, a few hours ago last night, where I saw Clinton Portis again. Everybody remembers Clinton Portis, running back. He played for the Broncos and then also the Washington football team, then the Redskins. Had a pretty lucrative career here in the NFL, but now he and two other former players now pleading guilty and now for a fraud charge against the NFL's movement about with medical supplies and things like that, and now embezzling money and fraud up to about $3 million here. I mean, that's some pretty surprising news here.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising, but it's not really surprising at the same time. I mean, there's players out there, even in today's game, that they think that money grows on trees right now to them. They're making millions of dollars. They're playing a sport that they absolutely love, and they think the money's never going to run out. So there are those few players that they just spend. I mean, they're going on luxurious vacations. They're buying mansions. They're buying a ton of cars. They're buying whatever they want. But then you know what? When your career ends, you kind of got to scale back on everything. You can't just go splurging and buying everything that you want all the time. You might have to invest your money. You might have to turn it into a business or something like that. And we've seen guys like Clinton Portis, and that's really what the telltale is guys like Clinton Portis, they spent all their money, they became broke, they started selling their assets, and then they spent all that money until they got nothing left. And what do? They turn to crime to try to rekindle those financial freedom. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work out for you in the end because you will get caught. And it don't matter if you're Clinton Portis. It don't matter who knows. You know what I mean? A guy down the road maybe Brett Favre or something becomes guilty of something like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your name is or how great of a player you once were or not. Maybe you were a third stringer your whole career or whatever. But as soon as you get involved in that kind of thing, it's going to come back to bite you, and now it's going to really hit the rest of his life.
Yeah, that's the thing. You talk about two-time Pro Bowler running back Clinton Portis and a few others. What is it? Tamarick Vanover and Robert McCune. And Robert McCune was the guy who kind of organized this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the thing is here, the league's retiree health care benefits plan, that's what they did. And when they made out false claims that they had bought this materials up to like some kind of oxygen tank, chamber, then other things for a women's like mammogram station here and there. And what happens if you make a claim for these saying you made these purchases, the league will go and reimburse you the money for it. Right. And basically they would never even happen. And they would even call in themselves pretending to be former players into the hotline claiming and making these claims as well. And there's also 15 other unnamed former players. They jumped in on board with this whole scheme too as well. Right. And it just recently now, McCune 40 pleaded guilty to several charges. He looks like he's going to do serious jail time. Right now, was it Tanover and Clinton Portis right now? Looks like they're going to approximately do about 10 years in jail. McCune faces 10 years for each count of healthcare fraud, which is 20 years now of fraud for each count and aggravated identity theft. I mean, and that's the maximum penalty for that. So imagine that. You hit rock bottom so hard, and you bring up a good point with some of these players. That's why they have like that system set up for players once they join the league. When you were a rookie and you come into the league, they have a set of advisors that already talk to you on how you manage your money and things like that.
It's the rookie symposium.
And we know Clinton Portis, he was a great player, had a long career even for running backs. When we look at running backs, they have an average of 2.5 years of their career longevity. Right. He had a lucrative career, and he made a lot of money. And was then for the reason now for him to spend it all and then be out of the league and broke, to force him to be into doing something like this is pretty sad.
And that's the thing, too, about Clinton Portis is that he wasn't in the league for just 2.5 years. He was in there for a good amount of time. So he had a nice, long career in the NFL and very, very successful at that. So you would think that a guy like that who's actually been able to sustain a career and have a pretty decent length in terms of being able to play the game for so long, you would think that at the very least the guy would have stashed away some change just in time for when he does retire. That when that comes up, that he'll be secure. He'll be okay after football, and then maybe you invest it. Like that's what a lot of the smarter guys do. We even know guys that were playing in the league. Like, look at Carson Palmer, for example. I remember Carson Palmer. He played quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals until he got hurt. Then he moved on. He played for the Raiders, and he played for the Cardinals until he retired, right? Mm-hmm. After he got injured with the Cincinnati Bengals, he stated in an interview or something, they were like, oh, well, how's this going to affect, your family or your financial? He's like, oh, no, I got $80 million in the bank. I'm good. He had $80 million saved at that point in time before he got 2 other contracts. So some players are smart with their money. They'll save it or they'll reinvest it so that way they can turn over that money into more money. So hopefully young players out there pay attention to what's happening around them right now with past players getting into trouble and some other players that either reinvest their money or have a savings so that the way they'll be better prepared for life after football.
Absolutely. We have Max Boyd in the house with us tonight, Joe, watching us on YouTube. Max? All right, he's posting his lineup right here for fantasy. He has Lamar, Zeke, Damian Harris, D-Hop, Lamb, Pitts, and now his key bench guys, Jonnu, Ruggs, Will Fuller, and Tony Pollard. And that is in a 12-team league. Okay. What do you think so far about that lineup?
I really like. I'm just kind of. I would be kind of curious where you got Lamar, because I'm not always the biggest fan of drafting a quarterback super early. But Damian Harris. Here's the thing about Damian Harris. For me, I stayed away in all my drafts. I stayed away from Patriots running backs, and I'll tell you why. Like Damian Harris looks like a beast. Absolutely. That Ramondre Stevenson. He's a dangerous back to watch out for. So. I don't like drafting Patriot running backs because of how often they switch him in and out. It could be week to week. It could be 1 week you think that Damian Harris is the starter, and then 2 weeks later it could be Ramondre Stevenson. You know what I mean? So with the way they run their offense, it's kind of up in the air when it comes to running back. So I hope for your sake, I hope Damian Harris is definitely the feature back and is going to get the majority of the carries all season long. But if not, that's one of the weaknesses that I could see down the road happen. Zeke, I'm not a huge fan of Zeke because, yes, Dak is back, and that's going to definitely help him and the rest of the offense for the Cowboys. However, I'm really not keen on their offensive line. I'm really kind of worried about if they can maintain their health all season. Tyron Smith playing with a bad back. He missed significant amount of time the last couple of seasons. He's returning now. He's healthy, but for how long? There's a few other, Lyle Collins, like he's coming back from another injury as well. Can he sustain health? Those are two of their better offensive linemen besides Zach Martin, who is going to be out for week 1. So now you don't have Zach Martin. He'll come back due to COVID. He'll be back in week 2 for sure. But going forward, like how healthy can this Cowboys O-line stay? So that kind of concerns me as well. Will Fuller, if you got him later in the draft, I think that's a good pickup because it's a low risk, high reward type of pick. And if he stays healthy, he could blow out like gangbusters for you.
He says here that he grabbed Lamar in the fourth round.
That's not bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
when I know a lot of people are hung up on Patrick Mahomes when it came to the drafts. Like they almost every draft I was involved in, Mahomes went first. You know what I mean? Somebody took Holmes first, maybe not in the first round, but maybe second or third, they took him. But I'll tell you right now, Lamar Jackson, I view him as like a running back. He gets running back numbers on top of being a quarterback. So to me, he's such a big dual threat in fantasy that he should very well be, as long as everyone stays healthy and whatnot, he should end up being possibly the number 1 guy at the end of the season. I like Lamar Jackson a lot. You got Ruggs. I'm assuming you got Ruggs a little bit later because he was rated lower on the cheat sheets. He says, I took Zeke over Derrick Henry at 4. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right, with Zeke and Henry because Zeke, I have offensive line concerns for the Cowboys. Henry, I don't have any concerns at all. However, he is playing in a different offense now. I'm trying to remember the offensive coordinator now. It slipped my mind. But the new offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans, we don't know exactly what he's going to do. He may not run as heavy as they did the past couple of seasons with Henry. Now, it could be more. We could see a more balanced offense, which it might still help Henry out. He just won't get as many opportunities as he did last season, but I still think he's going to be credible enough and definitely rack up points for you regardless. So Zeke and Henry,
that's
I don't
be
think
their game plan, right? You would think.
I don't think you could have went wrong with either pick because it's just like anything else in fantasy. Some guys I actually cross them right off before the draft even starts. I don't want this guy. Like I'll be honest with you, Deontay Johnson for me was rated way too high. I think after last season with his problems with the dropping of the football all the time, I'm sorry, I'm out. I don't want him. I don't want Deontay Johnson. I don't want Amari Cooper because, listen, those guys are rated high. But here's the thing is look at the offenses that they're in. Deontay Johnson's not a number 1. He's not a number 2. He's a number 3. And I could definitely see Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster have the majority of the catches and the touchdowns and what have you. I think they'll have a bigger impact. And as far as Amari Cooper goes, look at the offense that he's in. He's got Michael Gallup on one side, you got a Cooper, and you have CeeDee Lamb, who I think has become the lead favorite of Dak Prescott going into the season. So I think that CeeDee Lamb would be the guy to get if you were going to grab one of those receivers. But if you don't and you take Cooper a little bit later on, whatever. Right. We'll see what happens.
And that's why he ends up having CeeDee Lamb here, too, along with DeAndre Hopkins. And then Kyle Pitts, who you would really like here at the tight end position, to also have Jonnu Smith right after that, too, as your other tight end. So that's a nice 1-2 punch.
I'll be honest. Pitts, I think he was rated too high. I mean, as a rookie coming in, he's done nothing so far. I definitely feel like he could be a dramatic impact for the Atlanta Falcons. You can move that guy anywhere. But we really don't know how productive he's going to be. I think a lot of people are taking him too early and hoping that he's going to be that top 3 tight end. So we'll see about him.
There
with
were
the
a few
Atlanta Falcons.
names that I think that were kind of like that too.
Oh,
Like the
yeah.
high expectancy
They were
already.
rated
They were
higher.
rated so much higher
Yeah.
when they haven't
So
even
people
done
took
anything
them.
in the NFL yet. Totally
He said
agree.
top 3 in my league was CMC, Devin Cook, and Kamara. Yeah, and that's kind of been pretty much the staple across any fantasy league. That seems to be the consensus on how the running backs have went. I did witness in one of my leagues, though, someone took Dalvin Cook number 1, and then CMC was there for the number 2 player. So I don't think I would have done the same thing because CMC is he's like a wide receiver and a running back, number 1 wide receiver and a number 1 running back all combined into one because that offense relies on him so heavily that he's just literally involved in almost every single play. I completely agree about Pitts. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But maybe Kyle Pitts will pan out. Maybe he will. I hope he does.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely, I like it too with the 12-man team league. I really like that. It's a good lineup there. We're gonna show you guys what we did. We just did recently.
Yeah.
Was it 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
We did a 14 team draft with everyone. We're part of Godzilla Media and all of our podcasts together. We got together and did a big draft. 14 teams. And this is, I hope you guys can read all this. I tried to fit it on here to the screen the best I can, but this is what we ended up with our team. And we ended up drafting, we were in the 7th position here
right in the middle.
14 teams. So this is a list of our players here, minus, the kickers and defense.
Yep. So here's the thing, too, is like about this, I think, and me and Jim kind of like tag team this thing as one unit. We are the army of two, so we will come at you. So in this league, first time I've ever done a 14-team league, first of all. Second of all, I think we did pretty darn good for picking in the middle of the pack and for what we were able to get with the value that we got. Also, for our defense, we got Washington football team and the New England Patriots. So I think we did okay. I think we did pretty good being at a 14-team league. I think, we hit the nail on the head. We're deep at running back. We're deep at receiver. And especially we had a couple of picks like A.J. Green or Marcus Callaway that actually could really pay off huge dividends for us. Low risk, high reward. And we'll see what happens. And we got our man Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
He's going to hold it down for us at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, so we were excited about that. I mean, it went really nicely, really quick, and it was pretty good. Well, thank you. Max Boy says right there, good team for a big league. Yeah, I know.
Thanks for watching.
We weren't sure what we were going to see with this whole thing. I thought it was going to get drug out and everything, but luckily it was done online too, so there was the ticker. I don't know about you, Max. What about you?
Yeah.
Do you prefer the online, or do you like it in person, or even do you like having the ticker? I mean, what's your feelings on drafts altogether with some of these? I know a lot of people hate the in-persons again because some people just aren't ready. They sit there forever. Then it drags it on. It ends up being a pain.
You got to have the right
people. I like
people.
the camaraderie, like everybody together and making it an event,
Yeah.
But also
the
having the ticker is a really good idea as well.
You could have the ticker at an in-person draft too.
Could.
It's not like it's not doable. But here's the thing: is I hate online drafts. I absolutely hate them because here's the thing, and I'll tell you right now: when you have an in-person draft, I like to look at the board and see how it's flowing. Just like in a real draft where teams are looking at like who's available, who's not available, what positions are being taken. I like to be able to see the board, see how it's flowing. That way it helps me with possibly my next pick or strategy-wise looking forward. And also, like Jim was just saying, is the camaraderie. I mean, it's so much fun when you're there with your boys, or even if you're there with a couple of guys you don't know, you get along, you crack jokes on each other, like, oh, that's a reach, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible pick, you know what I mean? Just to rag on each other. But also, it's also like a big hangout because you order food, you get some pizza, get some wings, have some drinks, enjoy yourselves in the draft. So that's why I like that.
He agrees here. He says online goes quicker and in person is cool environment. Some people take their sweet time. Yeah, absolutely.
You got it. Whoever's the commissioner has to get on them then. I mean, I've been lucky enough to both the leagues that I run, it goes fairly quick. Not too many people take too much time. I mean, maybe with the last 2 or 3 rounds involved, people are kind of like trying to find like a hidden gem, so they're like really studying type of thing. But overall, it goes pretty sound, and you can't have someone sitting there for like 5 minutes trying to figure out who they're going to take. You just got to kind of even if you were to help them, like go up there and be like, "Hey, bro, what are you looking at? You know, what's going on?" We got to make a pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing always. But yeah, definitely, Max. We appreciate it out there. Definitely, everybody else too out there too. Put your fantasy draft out there, your roster. Let's take a look at see what we think. And yeah, I mean, let's just keep it going. Fantasy season starting. It's exciting. Tomorrow night's game again. We got the America's team, the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I think
they are not
Buccaneers.
my team.
I know. I don't get why they do that.
I don't think they do it anymore.
Team, they still try and do it. And now that I think they're calling it America's game. I think is that what they end up doing? Yeah. America's game is tomorrow. Is the Bucs and the Dallas Cowboys? Like, how did that happen? I just don't understand.
Because now they've gone away from calling Cowboys America's team, so now they're just calling the NFL America's game.
Yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah,
it does make sense.
All right. Yeah. So we thank you so much again for joining us. Right now, I'm going to get to our in the know fact of the day. And I don't have the bumper for some reason. There he goes. Snap. All right, here's our in the know fact of the day, Joe. I've been waiting for a while. We brought it back. This guy is no longer on a roster right now, but I thought there's a really cool tidbit here. Riley Ridley's real name is Calvin Riley Ridley. Riley's brother Calvin is named Calvin Orrin Ridley. Both the brothers get Calvin as their first name, but apparently only one gets to go by that name. So how about that? Their parents, and that's your in the know fact of the day. Both their parents were like, yeah, you're Calvin. And then the next one comes out. Yeah, let's make him Calvin too. But this changes middle name. It's like, what are we going to call him? We'll call him. See, because that's even too.
Riley.
If Calvin, he isn't even named, Orrin. They didn't call him Orrin. They just called him Calvin. But then the other one, Calvin, we already got a Calvin still, though. We're going to name him Riley. Why didn't you just name him Riley in the first place? Right? But that's your in the know fact of the day. That's pretty interesting stuff, though, right? All right, so yeah, we talked about the insurance frauds going on with those guys. It's really sad that you see some players, they end up blowing their money too early. They end up broke doing things like that. And you see some of the things that happen now across the NFL with gun trouble and things and constantly getting into trouble. Especially with being home from COVID and other things like that.
No excuse.
Getting in trouble. But when you face the running back, we talked about Clinton Portis and the money that he was able to make. And we've seen the drastic change and views about running backs, throughout the years here till right now. When we looked at I'm a Giants fan, so when you look at the Saquon Barkley pick there, first in that first round there, pick 2, that thing still looms over the Giants now. Again, because when they saw that it looked like Eli Manning was started to take a tick backwards here, and they're started to decline. Do they get their quarterback now? And there was some out there, but they go and get Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. Yes, he has produced. And the thing is, people want to remember his most recent injury, so they want to deem him an injury-prone running back.
Which I think is hilarious.
But in the same breath, you also got to say, I mean, yes, he is probably our best player on the team right now, but do you shell out the money to pay for a good running back? Because you see one leg injury or whatever could change the whole aspect of the team and the player in general altogether. We saw Todd Gurley go out and make an astronomical amount of money on that big contract, and many former running backs tweeting about it and saying, way to go, where he's represent for us and here and there. But that Super Bowl run that they had that particular season, that's when he ended up getting injured, and you didn't see him so much in the Super Bowl and even some of those playoff games, and he hasn't been the same running back since. And now he can't even get a job right now in the league.
Well, no, now he's at the later part of his career. His knees are completely torched, so nobody wants to touch him. But before, when he got that big contract, he still excelled really well with the Rams. He was killing it, and he didn't really have those ill effects with his knees. But then as time went on, we started to notice that he was starting to age a little bit more. Then all of a sudden it was like the Rams were trying to keep it a big secret. Like, oh, what's wrong why isn't Gurley out there? I don't know. We're going to evaluate him. We don't really know for sure. Is it his knees? No, we don't know at this time. They just kept shoveling stuff underneath the carpet and try to dodge all the questions. But really, all in all, is that he got to a point where as he got older, his knees just gave out from underneath him. So then, since then, he hasn't been the productive back that he once was. And, it happens to these running backs, you know what I mean? But at least he had a good career for the most part. And and it's sad to see him go because being his age right now, he's not like he's over the hill. He could still produce for somebody, but those knees just are not allowing him to do so. That's why nobody's touching him. So it's sad to see, but it does happen with players that we love. You know what I mean? We watch these guys growing up or just watching them play football, and you see the value. Like in the early 2000s, you started to see the value for taking a running back early and paying him that big money to keep him there because he was such a big part of the offense and so good and elite in the league that you will be willing to shell out that kind of money. We saw Adrian Peterson. With his last big contract with the Vikings, where he was making on average $17 million a year. Mm-hmm. That was kind of like one of the last big time contracts for running backs, to where teams started to think to themselves and say, "Hey, wait a second, I'm giving this guy $17 million. I'm almost giving this guy quarterback money right now to play a running back position when we do have some talent behind him. There's guys that we could pick off the free agent wire that could do not as great of a job as him, but they could handle the offense. They could do something. And now we're seeing teams are so locked into undervaluing running backs because they know they can get a guy who can do what they need them to do, whether it be scheme specific or just a certain role. They can draft in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds and get that type of running back for them on the cheap. Even free agency, you see that there. Guys like big names like Le'Veon Bell was hanging out in free agency this offseason. Nobody touched him until now. Yeah, and he's not even signed on the roster yet. He just signed with Baltimore Ravens on the practice squad. So, listen, if you want a job and you're expecting to make huge amount of money and you're kind of like 27, 28, and you're trying to get that big-time contract that one last time, you're not going to get it. Teams are going to move on from you if that's how you're going to be. They'll either draft one in the upcoming draft, they'll find one in free agency, maybe undrafted free agent. That's happened too, where we've seen talent come out of nowhere. So all in all, when you have the average years a running back is in the NFL is about 2.5 years, you have a short amount of life. Make it count. Some guys get to prolong that career a little bit longer, and some guys kind of fade out either due to injury or just not being able to stay on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Max says, one last thing on fantasy. Saquon was a 2nd-round pick in my league. I thought that was kind of late for him.
No,
yeah.
What are you waiting for?
I'll tell you right now, that's surprising to me because in all of my drafts, he was picked in the 1st round, and it was fairly early in the 1st round. Like, it was top 5 he was picked. I don't think he got past 5 in any of the drafts that I was taking part in.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we were looking for. I think Levac ended up getting him. I don't remember what position it was, but I think it was the 1st round still for the 14-person league. But yeah, and running backs, like you said, I mean, we've seen them be sort of that old school football is your run, smash mouth, kind of get it done. You have to work off of play action, establish the run, play action, make it work. We've seen teams, though, also be very run heavy, like the Baltimore Ravens. You've seen now the Cardinals and the 49ers. But again, when you look at those teams, they're not really one specific as well. Like when you said they're not really buying all in on one running back. They like to use a multi-back set for them, and certain utilities or tools that this particular running back can have, use them in certain situations, situational football. And that's what you're seeing more of, I think, around the NFL. It's rare that you have that one steady back that's going to get it done for you on all phases.
I mean,
unless you have
there's still
certain
teams
ones
that
do. I mean, like you have Christian McCaffrey, who is a multi-type of talented back where he can do it on catching, running as well, things like that. And he's even worked on special teams
you
for
look
him
with
as
the
well.
Saints. The Saints have Kamara. The Green Bay Packers have Aaron Jones.
And I think that's why Zeke has tried to come and show up to the camp with more weight, loss here in better shape than he ever has, to kind of help utilize his role on the team and not be so much a north-south runner, but kind of be a little more elusive and be able to work around the team and not be so just more of I'm just the running back to set up for them.
I mean, for the Cowboys, Zeke will always be the feature back. It's not even a question. So I think for him in this past offseason, it wasn't a question of him about being just more north to south, because that's what he is. But for him to lose the weight going way back to his college days, it's going to make him an even better player. So for me, it's more self-improvement than it is like scheme-wise. That's the reason why he did it. I think he realized that, man, I was heavy last year. I was a little slower than I normally am. So like for him, he kind of realized like, I got to get my shit together. I got to work hard. I got to get back to where I was when I entered the league so I can be that much more impactful for the Dallas Cowboys. So I mean, for a lot of these backs, and I still feel like in today's league, as much as there are some teams that utilize multiple backs, I still feel like there's a lot of the league that still use those featured backs still. So it's kind of like how your offense is designed. Like the Ravens, they're a heavy run style offense. They usually use just one guy, maybe two, but that second guy doesn't really get on the field that much. This year, it's sad, but J.K. Dobbins went out. He's done for the season. But now the next man steps up, Gus Edwards, who is he's not shy of being that starting tailback. We've seen him in small amounts being able to take on that workload and run with it. So you're going to see that with Baltimore. With the Raiders, they have Josh Jacobs. Even though they signed Kenyon Drake, he's going to be utilized more as like a receiver. Jacobs is still the starter. So you see teams that are still using the heavy featured type of backfield to the way they like to run their offense. Another team that I'll bring up too that uses multi-backs is like the team that I just complained about for fantasy is the New England Patriots. You don't know, they've never once just stuck with one guy. Never have. Rex Burkhead, for crying out loud, was the starter for them for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden they changed that and they went to Sony Michel. Then when Sony Michel got hurt, then they went to someone James White.
James White's been a major part
it's just like they're all over the place. So that to me is like a team that it loves to rotate in different type of talents, because all in all, what it is for the Patriots and some of these other teams that utilize multiple backs is that they like to see change of pace. You know what I mean? You might have a bigger back like A.J. Dillon for Green Bay. He's more like a power guy, but he still has some speed for his size. And you might be able to throw him in the mix. And then here comes Aaron Jones, and you're like, oh, Jesus, change of speed. I can't. What the hell? How am I supposed to catch up to that guy? You know what I mean? So it's strategy. It's the type of offense that teams run. And I think that depending on how your offense is run, you're going to see multiple backs here. You're going to see some feature backs still. I still feel like the league is still kind of like 50-50 on that whole situation.
Right, and I think that's why you posed the question about that, and like because I've seen it in out in social media and Twitter and stuff when Le'Veon Bell was out still and Todd Gurley, and you look at their age and they're still fairly young.
Yeah.
And at one time in their prime when they were there, they were the elite of the elite.
Yeah, they were amazing.
And now they couldn't find a team. And like you said, Le'Veon Bell now goes to the Ravens, but again, right now just getting signed, practice squad, and then see what he does for them. He was utilized a little bit, with the Chiefs here and there, but again, I think some things with them, it's the baggage that comes with it. Le'Veon Bell wasn't really injury prone. He did sit out a whole week because he was just a whole year because he was just holding out.
The contract issues.
The contract issues. But then his character issues, I think, are in question too with things he was getting in trouble with in Florida and other issues like that on top of it. And I think teams even look at some of that stuff, and if they haven't seen a whole lot of production from you, that they really won't look by those issues. I mean, look at when he was with the Jets, he really didn't do a whole lot, and it was terrible because again they didn't have a really good offensive line, so you can't really hold it against him.
Not at
but
all.
That's the situation, and then he cried until he can finally get out of there.
Good for him,
right?
I would have too.
But I mean, again, still they didn't really utilize him a lot there for the Chiefs. Here and there wasn't like maybe part of their feature.
No, because they drafted their running back. You know what
they
I mean?
had him there already. I understand that too as well. But again, it's the times have changed, and the teams just don't see that it's very important, or at least crucial, to invest a lot of money in
You don't
that
need to.
particular position.
You don't need
especially
to.
Even if that might be your best player, so they won't lock themselves up into that type of deal.
Like a long-term commitment, absolutely.
And that's the thing with when you look at quarterbacks, that's a different story. But still, that's where the Cowboys were trying to institute that and trying to hold firm on that with the Dak deal, but then eventually caved a bit too and ended up giving him the money that he wanted. But now that's even in question here with what some of these guys do in certain guaranteed money, because that's what the whole question is about everything. The guaranteed money. It's one thing to give him a contract and then we can make it both for both sides, make it pretty even and stuff. But the players, they know the longevity that they might have. They know that in the next particular play, they can lose everything. So they want the guaranteed money. And that's what the major argument is with these two different sides, and why probably when you look at Todd Gurley out there in the market, he probably sees himself as an elite running back, not getting the calls because he probably wants too much.
I don't think it's Gurley and money, because he signed for like $4 million with the Atlanta Falcons before, and to be honest, I think it's more about his health. I think teams are scared of his knee issues to the point where like they don't even want to take a chance now anymore. Because what's to say that he comes in, plays 1 week, and then his knees are sore. Then he plays the next week, and now, oh, man, now he's in drastic pain. He's got to sit out. You know what I mean, already. So teams don't even want to take the chance because they already know that his knees are so bad to this point that he may not even get another opportunity. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? His body didn't hold up, and that's what it is. So going forward, I mean, you're going to see, and you even see, like, okay, you got Le'Veon Bell, who just signed with the Baltimore Ravens to go to practice squad. Here's the thing with that. I think it's a low-risk, high-reward play. I mean, they didn't pay him hardly anything because, listen, players, when they sit out in free agency for so long, they start to get that itch, especially as it gets closer to the season. Whether they're Richard Sherman, you've seen him burn his bridges already. He got in trouble in the offseason. Before he got in trouble, he was demanding a lot of money. He wanted to be like double-digit money for 1 year, play wherever. Teams weren't willing to pay him that. At 33 years old, you're not going to get that big-time paycheck anymore. You got to wake up. You know what I mean? At that point, you're lucky that they are even interested in you going forward. So take whatever money they're offering you just to get to play and get that paycheck. But he burned his bridges with the Niners. He burned his bridges. I know the Raiders were interested. And then he got into trouble. And then after that, teams were like, all bets are off. We just saw recently this past week that the Niners have now kind of made a statement and said, we're moving on from Richard Sherman. They went out and signed veteran corner Josh Norman to a 1 year deal. And that to me just spells out, hey, we're done with you. That's it. We've had enough. We're not going to pay you big bucks. We're going to pay this guy to come in, take over your spot, and that's it. The Raiders did a little bit differently. They went to the draft. They went to free agency. And so now he's left out there, and he doesn't have a team, and who knows what's going to happen with him. So you'll see other free agents as well. Look at Latavius Murray, who just recently became a free agent with the Saints. The Saints asked him to take a pay cut. Now, he's not really that young anymore. I think he's like 29, maybe 30, somewhere around there. But they said, hey, we need you to take a pay cut. Would you do that for us? And he was like, no, I'm not taking a pay cut. Okay, see you later. See you later, you're cut. That's it, you're gone. And that's the thing is we can find someone else. We have talent. They got this young kid that's running the ball like a bull in a china closet for them. They're like, hey, we got this young kid that's going to just take your place now. It's that simple. So players, if you want to hold on to your jobs, if you want to get a job, you got to wake up and realize where you at right now in your state of your career. Stupid idiot. So, and I'm sorry, but I got to mention this real too.
Sure.
KJ Wright. He's another free agent that's been out there forever. Like forever. Still really productive. Like last season with the Seattle Seahawks, he was like rated as like one of the top 15 linebackers in the league. You know what I mean? Pretty impressive for a guy that's starting to get up there a little bit in age. And he sat out there. And finally, because he had too high of a price tag, teams are not going to bow down to players anymore. You listen, given your age, given how well you play, that's where they come up with the money that they want, that they said they can afford. And if you're not willing to take it, you're not going to have a job.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there too. And that's the thing. That's what everybody's looking at. It's going to make a difference, and especially now with the effects of COVID, with the salary cap being an issue too. There's a lot of cap casualties this particular season.
And some of the cuts this year were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We witnessed some players that we didn't think were going to get cut. Mm-hmm. And then they end up going to practice squads. And it's like, what is happening right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we were talking about, the running back roundup here. We've covered the in-the-know fact of the day. We're going to get into a segment that we haven't done in a very long time, but we're going to get back to it. It's Ask Siri. But first, Joe is going to tell you a little bit about our friends. The icon just came up there, Johnstone Supply in Troy. Joe, tell us a little about Johnstone.
Yeah, Johnstone Supply. They're in Troy, New York. Mm-hmm. If you're from the capital region, go ahead and hit these guys up. Listen, fall's officially getting here. It's just right around the corner, if not here already. Yep. Which means one of my favorite things, football's here.
Yeah, that's true. That's
football.
a big thing. Yes.
And another thing is, sadly enough, winter's right around the corner. So if you need anything to do with upgrades for your furnace, you need your furnace replaced, you need anything like that, make sure you hit Johnstone Supply up in Troy. They can make sure that your home is ready, updated, and ready to go for the upcoming cold months that's up ahead. They've been helping upstate New York residents for decades. Listen, these guys are absolute professionals. They know what they're doing. They know how to make everything right. You know what I mean? No screw-ups. You don't have to worry about an unprofessional person coming to your home and screwing everything up, making it worse, and costing you more money. So these guys will save you money. They are reliable. Make sure you visit their store on 6th Avenue in Troy, New York for more information or on how they can help you this fall or any time of the year for that matter, whether it's finding the proper change for your filters or making sure your home is heated properly. Johnstone Supply in Troy's staff can help you answer any questions that you may have. From George to Tom, the rest of the staff, they're looking forward to seeing you, to helping you along the journey that you need. Follow them on Facebook or call them today at 518-272-5922. Johnstone Supply in New York. There you go. That's what you need. Get your heating arrangements all taken care of. Johnstone Supply in Troy, New York on 6th Avenue. Go get them.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. Johnstone Supply. It's a pleasure them having us, sponsoring us, and we really appreciate it. So, yeah, everybody that's around here, we know it's getting cold. The weather is changing over. It's warm today right now, but there is an actual thunderstorm going on right now outside. So let's hope that stays away for us for a little while. But we know the snow is going to come. It's upstate New York. That's what we deal with. The heating. It sucks. But Johnstone Supply, I feel safe with them.
It didn't even feel like summer was here. It rained the whole time.
Oh, it did.
It was crazy.
Oh, I know. But you know what? Also something that's very exciting here with the capital region, but also benefits our guys out there that don't live in upstate New York. We are doing a gift card giveaway for Paisan's Pizza right now. So everybody loves pizza. Nothing goes better with football than pizza. Whether it be college game day, you're sitting there on a Saturday, bring over some bros and some beers, have some pizza, chill out, or those nice Sundays here where you can just hang out, get the wings like Joe said, get some Paisan Pizza. Well, Paisan's joined up with us. Just check them out at paisanpizza.com, and they're giving away a gift card. And what you got to do is to qualify for this. Everybody out there, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, join our Facebook group. It's easy to join. It's public. Just join them there. Join
YouTube. I
have posted a keyword on there. There's going to be 2 keywords in the next 2 weeks. You need to write down both those words, and on our next live show next week, be the first one to comment those words, and you get the $15 gift card. And you say, well, hey, again, I don't live near Albany. I don't know any of you do it. That's all right, though, because you know what?
We got you.
Oh, it does, yes, because they are part of Gold Belly. And Gold Belly, what happens is they can deliver and ship food out to you. So what they do is they freeze their pizza that they have, that they make and send it out to you. So you get that gift card, you spend it online, it goes right directly to you. Tastes just as good as the original hot juicy pizza. So there you go. Join the competition, get it done, and get yourself some free pizza. It's awesome. Paisans. I love it, man. Oh, it's like that New York style too, the big slices.
Yeah, bro. Throw that.
Can't go wrong with that.
Hey, if one of our lucky winners out there end up getting this and they're out of state, no worries, bro. We got you. We're gonna have Paisan ship a pizza right over to you, and throw that shit in the oven and enjoy. Enjoy a football game while eating Paisan's pizza, baby.
Absolutely. So here we go. That's going to bring up our next segment. We haven't done this in a while, but we're going to go back to Ask Siri. That's right, Joe. Ask Siri is back. We have a lot
Siri
of fun
or
with
Karen?
Siri.
I forgot.
Nah, she's been acting like Karen. Maybe that's why we haven't talked to her in a while.
We're gonna
She's
have to
very, very moody and things like that. Loves Tom Brady, but very opinionated and very emotional
Hostile.
and things like that. Hostile. Exactly.
Very hostile. But I mean, that's the thing is we might have to change her name to
So
Karen.
there's a bunch of questions that are going to be facing this upcoming season. A lot of people have questions about what might be coming up here. So I jot down a few. All right. So I'm going to ask Siri now some questions here. So, Siri, my first one. What are the odds of Jimmy Garoppolo losing the starting job in San Francisco?
About the same odds as the Houston Texans have of picking first overall in next year's draft.
Well, there you go. I mean, yes, that's pretty good odds, I think, because they suck. So I mean, that's a pretty good.
Isn't that crazy how Houston just keeps trading away talent that they have on the roster? They just traded Bradley Roby to the Saints. I'm like, they trade away Shaq Lawson as a defensive end to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
Then they trade Bradley Roby, who was probably their best corner, and at the time, and now he's shipped off to the Saints. Are they trying to have the number one pick because they didn't have to do any of that?
Well, that's the funny thing is because they go and everybody blasts the last regime that was in there. Bill O'Brien, who seemed like to make every mistake possible and then get promoted, and then he does the unthinkable and trades away DeAndre Hopkins because he has too much strength in the locker room with all the players, and that seemed like the most baffling, retarded move we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
But then it seems like these new guys are like, no, we can do better. We can get rid of this guy.
Beat that.
We'll get rid of this guy, have all this, and then we'll have even less picks again, too, as well. It's bad enough we didn't have any picks from our Laramie Tunsil trade that we did before.
Right.
Now we're getting less talent out there. We'll just keep getting rid of it. Is he a household name? Do you think we can get rid of him? What do you think we can get? A 7th rounder? That sounds great to us. Right there.
It's another
bag
pick
of
we
peanuts.
get.
I mean, what the hell is up with this team, man? It's like that's what I mean. And it's all gone downhill. Don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson, but
listen, there's a very upset Texan fan that's one of our know-it-alls out there, and I posted a post. I knew it was kind of like kind of like an obvious post. Mm-hmm. They announced, Deshaun Watson will not start week 1. Tyrod Taylor is the starter, and he commented, he's like, I have had it with I had it with the Texans. They're retarded. He goes, I can't wait until we change ownership, change the GM, change everything. That's the only reason how we can even become better.
Mm-hmm.
Retard alert.
Yeah, sometimes with that.
He's absolutely fed up with him to the point where he's not going to watch him. He's done.
Oh man, that's tough. That is tough. I mean, it's tough to watch my team sometimes, but I mean, when you see the franchise do something like that, I mean, that's pretty blasphemous.
Oh, dude, killing me.
How do you look back at your fans like that? How do you expect them to come to the stadium? Even it's things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Shit. If I'm a Texans fan, I'm not going to the. Listen, I'm going to drink my face off on Sunday and not watch Houston Texan football.
Yep. All right, so here we go. All right, my next question for Siri. Which running back, we're talking about Houston, Siri, which running back in Houston will have the most touches this season?
Well, no one has more touches than Deshaun Watson has in the massage parlor.
Well,
shit.
Wow. It claims. Those are claims.
He's not listen,
exactly
he's not guilty. This is all
or anything,
Yeah,
so
come on.
We'll see, so
sit down.
all right.
Wow.
But that's hearsay. I don't know. Siri says it, so it might be true, but I don't know. We're asking her. All right, so there you go. Question number 3.
What we got?
Everybody's asking again. We're up in New York. They ask about the Danny Dimes, the offensive line, all kinds of questions here. So let's go.
Jones.
All right, Siri, with the additions to the team, will Daniel Jones take a step forward this season?
As we saw last year, Daniel Jones is prone to tripping over his own feet.
So I guess then he can't
I guess
take a step
no.
forward.
I guess
so,
he can only go backwards.
yes.
Okay.
So there you go. He sees goats and then trips over nothing. Yeah. So maybe he can't take a step forward. He'll just fall.
He needs to maintain his composure.
He does. That's Danny Dimes for you. So. All right.
Whoa,
Whoa. We've got a know-it-all in the house with us tonight.
Jim Radley.
Jim Radley's in the house with us.
What's
Holy
going
moly.
on, Jim?
Yeah. All right, Jim's in the house. His team is going to play my team day one here, the Giants and the Broncos. Looking at that offensive line in the preseason, it makes me a little less, right? I'm a little more worried about that game. When you're looking at it, I was pretty confident, but again, with the injuries that we're having and then guys just not panning out right, it's all over the place, So, and you look at, again, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb there, that, run-stop defense, and that's where you're hoping that, Saquon Barkley can get the ball rolling for him to alleviate some of that pressure off of Daniel Jones.
Yep.
And the Broncos trying to step up in the pass rush in the passing game. So, those teams, I think, are really closely matched.
Yeah, they're really closely matched.
I think when we've said this before, when we talked about this matchup, you're kind of going to get a gauge, I think, out of this game of where these teams might be trending towards after this matchup.
Yeah, and I think that, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise for, I don't know if it's going to be for Giants fans so much, but for some people, I think Kyle Rudolph will be the go-to guy in this matchup. I think they're going to try to carve him up over the middle at tight end.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. I mean, that'd be nice. Pleasure having you with the show here with us, Jim.
Let's go.
All right. Any questions? Light it up there. Whatever you guys want.
Yeah,
All
fantasy, anything. Anything. Your team, matchups, whatever.
All right. So we're doing Ask Siri, and I have one more question. Usually we just do 4 questions. One last question now for Siri. How secure is Jalen Hurts' job in Philadelphia?
About as secure as my groceries after Cuomo made us switch from plastic to paper bag. Fuck Cuomo.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I agree with that statement.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. I like that one. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, everything I think agrees with that. Even the children. The children agree.
The children
with that.
do.
F Cuomo. Yeah. Because again, it is. I think that kind of seems like secure there. No, not as secure. Like when you look at Jalen Hurts. They saw, well, it's a different coaching staff then, too, but they pulled him out in that last game, and it was kind of skeptical because I thought he was actually playing fairly well.
They were going to win if he stayed in.
Ever since now, it's just been him, and no longer they traded away Carson Wentz. We've heard Deshaun Watson. We've heard, let's try and get this guy. Let's try and get this guy. I mean, that's going to be tough for that quarterback room and him sitting there saying, I keep seeing on all these headlines, all my team's looking for other quarterbacks here that, seem that, again, have a better pedigree than I have, at least right now. I've been in the NFL and had more games to show for it. But now you get Gardner Minshew over there, and he had his stint here, and I think he's more of a fan favorite type of deal.
Right.
And I'm not sure, though, with this new coaching staff. We've heard, again, everybody has a fair shot to try out, hit this and that. But then also, Joe Flacco hasn't looked very good for that team either, and just really underwhelming. So you would think now that when they brought in Gardner Minshew, they're bringing another guy to kind of step up, and then who will win this
probably
starting job?
Be the
possibly
backup.
Be the guy.
Is all it is. I mean, I don't see him taking over Hurts'
and
spot.
the thing is with Joe Flacco, he's not. Again, he showed before when he was with Denver. Even he's like, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to help groom this guy. I'm an older quarterback. I still think I have stuff in the tank. I'm fighting to try and do this. But
he's done with the grooming thing. He's older. In terms of NFL age, he's definitely an older quarterback that's just there to be a backup and keep his career going as long as he possibly can. As far as Jalen Hurts goes and Gardner Minshew, Hurts, I don't see him losing his job. I think the reason why they made that move is for insurance purposes. I don't think because what they witnessed with Flacco, they're like, hey, we have an opportunity to trade a low pick for Gardner Minshew, who we've seen him have success as a starter, and he could be a great backup for Jalen Hurts right now, at the very least. You know what I mean? We've seen Hurts in a small dose last season as the starter do very well with Zach Ertz and all his receivers that he had and Miles Sanders in the backfield. So definitely expect Jalen Hurts to have a decent year. I don't know how good it is going to be, but I would say this. As long as the Eagles' offensive line can stay healthy for once, then he'll be just fine. And that'll be the real big reason.
Yeah, it's something to look forward to with this season. So that was our segment, Ask Siri. We haven't done that one in a while. We love that. It's
been
segment.
a while.
A lot of people that listen to us here love that segment. We're bringing it back. We're going to be bringing back a lot of stuff this upcoming season, Joe. We're going to do some of your decapitations of the week. That's a really nice segment too as well. Right now, before we get to our picks, I want to tell you guys a little bit about our friends at Mohawk Honda. There you go. The icon just comes up. They're on Freeman's Bridge Road, Mohawk Honda, where they go out of their way to please you. And let me tell you, they live by that slogan every day, whether it be service, whether it be getting you into a car, your trade-ins. Right now, the shortage on the market, that people are trying to get you to get your car in there to give you, what they'll tell you top dollar for the trade-in, whatever. Mm-hmm. Say they give you a trade-in, like, all right, that's cool. All right, well, what do you want to go get a car with it, right? Why not be able to do both at the same place? You go there, they have nothing on their market, but they gave you, a little extra on you. Go to Mohawk Honda. They have acres and acres of inventory there. Pre-owns, brand new ones, Hondas, Acuras, different ones there as well that were pre-owned. And they go out of their way to please you. They will not only put you in a newer, a better car that you like, the one that you deserve at the payments that you deserve, that you want. Walk out of there and say, or drive out of there and say, man, I love this car. This is what I wanted. This is amazing. I love these guys. And then also they'll call you back and check in on you again whenever you need to do oil changes and things like that. Well, like I said, they're not just a dealership. They're like a family, the Harridan family. They've been there for years up there at Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia Glenville. Mohawk Honda. Check them out, MohawkHonda.com, where they go out of their way to please you. That's right.
And that's the crazy thing is that they still have the most inventory I've ever seen any dealership have.
It's huge.
It's crazy.
It really
it's full.
is.
It's not like a Mirage. Like you see some of these dealerships, they try to put all cars up front. And then if you were able to look past that, it's like blank. There's like nothing behind it. These
like
guys have car after
a dude
car
trying
after car
to hide
after
that,
car.
with the comb over, hiding the bald spot.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what it's like. But these guys aren't like that.
And
They've
they're
got
great.
The whole road game.
And I'll tell you right now, this is one dealership, and I've always been against going to buy a car from a dealership. I'll tell you this right now. But I've been through the process with someone that I knew, and I was pleasantly surprised on how much they're close. They try to become close to you. They try to treat you like family, and they just guide you through the whole process. And they make it quick, easy, and simple to the point where, like, listen, if you have any fears of going to a dealership or don't like dealerships, give these guys a chance, because I'll tell you right now, your perception will change by going to Mohawk Honda.
That's right. All right, so now you know what time it is, Joe. It's exciting. It's week one.
It's that
buddy.
time
it's
again.
Time. Here we go. We
Let's
get to do our picks. We get to do our picks. It's exciting. Ever since a couple of weeks ago, I didn't bring it down here, but a couple of seasons ago, we started doing a competition. We used to pick them together, but then we said, let's spice this up a little bit. We're going to do a competition. Yeah. And the loser has to drink a football-shaped glass here full of whatever liquor they choose. And luckily, it's been Joe for the last couple of seasons here. It's been close. The competition is fierce. Yes, but I think he's poised to get me this year. It's going to be tough right here.
I want to drink again.
This is what the outcome was last season. And again, these are a little inflated because towards the end, he had to try and catch up. So that's why he was even down by a few there.
I started taking some.
It was tough.
Shotgun.
You got to take those risks.
I was in the shotgun.
Get back into it.
Throwing bombs. Just throwing bombs.
I like to get
that
cushion and then stick there and stick tight. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're excited. We're getting ready to do this. The NFL season's finally here, Joe. Woo! All right. Let's go. Let's get our picks going. All right, let's start off with the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow night. That's right, Thursday night. Yes. What do you got here for this one here? Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, Dallas Cowboys. A lot of questions revolving around that team.
I mean, that's the thing, too, is like everybody kind of pumps up the Cowboys and saying, oh, they're going to take the division this year.
Every season.
They're going to be amazing because they got Dak back, right? So everyone's just assuming that they're going to just take the division over. There's no one to stand in their way. Listen, I got questions about the offensive line, how healthy they can stay. I got questions still about their defense. They might have made their linebacking core stronger and a couple of players on the D-line, but I'm not buying it. I don't think they're a complete defense. So for me, it's not even close. Tampa Bay, listen, they got everybody back from last Super Bowl run, which is absolutely astounding. Mm-hmm. But with that great defense that they have, with the offense that they have, I mean, there's no weaknesses. Tampa Bay all the way.
Yeah,
and they're opening up at home.
I'm going to agree with you here, too. Again, it's poised, set, ready there for them. Dallas, again, I think is not really poised and ready to take on a team like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has had the full balance of everything. I think they were just missing that quarterback that they didn't have in Jameis Winston. He was just a turnover machine too much. They just needed a guy that was a little more safer to manage it better, safer with the ball. I'm going Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well as this one. I don't think the Cowboys just have enough.
No. What's going on, Tom?
Oh, man, here we go.
Welcome to the show.
All right, he's got the Bucs-Bills Super Bowl prediction. He's laying it out there all right. He's ready to toast to that one. Here we go. He wants the Bucs to go back-to-back on this one. So Bucs going to repeat. He says it right there. It was a pleasure having guys in the house with us tonight on Twitter. It's a pleasure. All right, so here we go. Let's go into Sunday's games. What do we got? We got Pittsburgh and Buffalo. He brings up the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo at home. This team is
a tough game.
Yeah, like we were waiting for them to kind of get that upper echelon, break that point. Last year was the year, and what it took I think, was to get Stephon Diggs. They had that missing piece that they needed, that key number one wide receiver, and that's why, he ended up there. That's what he wanted to be. He needed to get out of, Minnesota, be there, be my own man. He teams up with Josh Allen. Josh Allen, and now in another year, limiting the missed throws. Again, he was not having as much touch on his throws, so the accuracy was off. That arm is still strong, but now it seems he has a little more control over that strong arm, so now it's a lethal weapon. So here at home, Pittsburgh, I think, again, that offensive line, they should have adjusted or addressed in the draft. Instead, they go running back. A lot of people love that move. I was not too happy about that move. They have some good weapons here, but again, don't think they have enough ammunition here, and they also start off slow in the beginning of the seasons. Yes, they went undefeated for a while, but look at the caliber of teams that they played last year early on.
They had a weak schedule.
The Giants could have probably took them down. If it was just a few different things that didn't happen in that game, they were right on them. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills at home.
And you talk about being elite. Josh Allen has been lighting it up this offseason. He's not only gotten better, he got better than last year. And last year, it was kind of his coming out party last year. With Diggs having a true number one, he was able to unleash the fury. So Josh Allen's going to light it up once again this season. It's hard not to say he isn't. They also got not one, but two running backs. And you talk about going back to talking about multiple backs. They got Devin Singletary, who came on really strong last season, and Zach Moss, who was a little bit banged up, but he seems to be more of like that short yardage back, that pounder for them. So I like that a lot. I like the receiving core. They have Emmanuel Sanders now. They have Stephon Diggs. They got Cole Beasley. They got Gabe Davis, who's an up-and-coming player. Watch out for him. In this defense, the Buffalo defense is so strong, and that's probably one of the major reasons why they got to where they got to in the playoffs last year. Pittsburgh, again, just like what Jim said, I'm not buying that offensive line. I don't think they paid enough attention to it in the offseason. I feel like that's going to hurt them in the long term, and it might even hurt them in week one. They might have Juju and Chase Claypool, and they drafted that running back in Najee Harris. The defense is still going to be strong, don't get me wrong. But I think this is going to be a very close battle. But in the end, I think Buffalo Bills are going to come out with the win.
All right, here we go. We've got the New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers here. Jets, again, got their quarterback. It seems like their franchise quarterback finally. We'll see how it goes. He had a great preseason, and they were able to get some more weapons that for some reason they weren't able to do when Sam Darnold was there. But Corey Davis looks good for them. It's not just Jameson Crowder back there. You've got a nice mix of some guys that can really get this offense going. And a young running back, too, as well. And this defense with Robert Saleh is going to try and lock it down and get it done, something that this team hasn't been able to do. And what this team really tried to pride themselves on for many years, especially with Rex Ryan years, being a strong defense and then the offense just, doing enough to get it done and secure the game. But it's going to be tough against this team, the Carolina Panthers, who now has Sam Darnold. So this is great. This is what they would call the revenge game. So Sam Darnold gets to play against his former team. Again, it's reunited now with Robbie Anderson. Now he's throwing to once again, and also has Christian McCaffrey in the backfield again. So, I mean, this is a great matchup here in Carolina, Joe. What's your take on this one?
This one is I'm excited for Jet fans because I think that they got the right guy for them in Zach Wilson. I think it's going to take them a little bit longer than just 1 year to turn this team around, obviously. It's funny because as soon as they shipped out Darnold, Then they made all these changes. They upgraded the offensive line. They drafted Elijah Vera Tucker. I mean, they surrounded Zach Wilson with wide receivers. Yes, they might not be the most elite, but Corey Davis looks like he could come out and have a breakout season this year. Like you mentioned, Jamison Crowder. They also got the rookie Elijah Moore. It's exciting. Michael Carter in the backfield. And also Tevin Coleman, who signed earlier. Looks like he might even start week 1. Defensively, I love Robert Saleh. However, I'm a little concerned with this defense. I'm not sure if they have all the players that they need in place to truly run this defense and be as aggressive as they want. I still feel like they got a couple of holes. And so I think that's where they're going to kind of like miss out on some games. Other than that, Carolina, listen, Sam Darnold, I was a fan of Sam Darnold with the Jets. I was hoping they would keep him and build more around him, but they decided to move on from him. Now he's with a better team, a better offensive line, better receiving core, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and the rookie, Terrace Marshall. Watch out for him this season. He looks like he could be a big impact type of player too. Jimmy mentioned CMC. The defense is also very young. This team is on average the second youngest team in the league at the average age of 24 years old. Watch out for Carolina grow together and unleash some punishment on the Jets. I'm going to go with the Panthers this week.
All right, here we go. Now, we're looking at the Jets here. Carolina, again, this is poised up to be the revenge game here finally for Sam Darnold. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers as well. I think they're just overall in a better position moving forward. Now, next we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans, again, the bottom of the barrel, I think, of the NFL. For this one, I think there's not too much debate, I think, what the outcome would be. I'm more interested to look at this team now and kind of look at, the offense of the Jacksonville Jaguars and see what they have to offer here. Trevor Lawrence is a great primer game, I think, for him and to welcome himself into the league. And I think he could really, really put out numbers here against this team and make him really feel confident here with them moving forward. And I like the Jacksonville Jaguars in here. I mean, that's not really much to say about the Houston Texans.
How could you not on week 1? Listen, this team is self-imploding. They're just giving away guys like it's a fire sale. Yeah, you want a corner? We'll trade you one. You want a defensive end? We'll trade you one. Anybody want anything else? We'll trade you. Deshaun Watson, he's on the shelf right now. Maybe we'll trade him later. We're not really sure. So Houston's a debacle. They're in. I don't know what's going to happen with this team. I do like Tyrod Taylor. I think he can manage the game. We've seen him do it in Buffalo. We've seen him do a fairly good job there. I think he's going to do the same in Houston. And I just don't like that he doesn't have a whole lot of wide receiving talent around him. So a lot of unproven guys like Nico Collins as a rookie, Kiki QT to name a few, but like 400 running backs behind them because they signed like almost every running back in free agency. But Jacksonville, listen, I like what they they already have some veterans on that team. They're a younger team. They're going to grow. Trevor Lawrence is going to have some mistakes, I feel like, in this opening battle. However, I feel like they're not going to kill them to where I feel like they're going to pull away with their defense, and their offense is going to start to find a groove late in the game, and they're going to end up with the win. So Jacksonville gets it.
All right, there you go. Now moving on to the Arizona Cardinals and the Tennessee Titans. Now this is going to be an interesting matchup again, too, Ed. You want to talk about two teams to try and gauge where they are. I think this is a game, again, that's going to do the same thing, but on a different level than what the other two games, when we talked about the Giants and the Broncos. Tennessee and Arizona, again, two teams that were, one was playoff bound, the other one, again, getting there on the cusp. Now they've got A.J. Green there, too, on the opposite side of DeAndre Hopkins. They get J.J. Watt here now also in the defense, and they also get Chandler Jones back now as well, who was leading the league multiple years, consecutively in sacks. So, I mean, you get that type of player back for you on the defensive side, too, as well. So they're looking to take a step forward and show that then they're ready, and Kyler Murray can take them to that next step in that tough division of the NFC West. I mean, anybody could come out there, and you could even see three potential teams hitting the wild card or the playoffs out of that division. But the Tennessee Titans too, another tough division to be in for the AFC. Again, relied on Derrick Henry heavily, but then also Ryan Tannehill resurging his career here with Tennessee. Back, he was kind of lost and forgotten about when he was with Miami. At times
just
people
gave up on him.
just deeming him just an average quarterback. Let's move on. He isn't the real deal. But it seems like since he's met up here with Mike Vrabel there with the Tennessee Titans, you have that strong running game and Derrick Henry there as well. It's really helped out his numbers, and he's really contributed to this team and got them moving forward and getting into the playoffs. The problem is last year they were limited on defense, so defense was struggling, and that ended up being their kind of Achilles heel to put them out. But now moving forward against this team, Arizona, Tennessee, this is a tight one. But, I kind of picked Arizona to go to and take the division. So with this one moving forward, I might go with them. Man, it's tough, though.
Well, let me jump in here and let me explain something here for you. So for Tennessee, some changes are going to be made. We're not really quite sure what the offense is going to look like. I think it's going to be more balanced. That's my belief. So in turn, it could actually help out Derrick Henry even more. It could throw defenses and keep them on their heels that way. Offense is not a problem for Tennessee is what I'm getting at. But defensively, that was a problem last year. They were missing their starting corners. They were struggling to stop the pass. They were struggling to stop the run. They couldn't get much of a pass rush. This offseason, they go out and they get Bud Dupree from the Steelers to help with that pass rush, along with some of the young talent that they implemented on this defensive side of the ball. So possibly they could be better. I mean, maybe. I think they'll definitely improve. I just don't know how much they'll improve defensively. In Arizona, they just kind of reloaded this offseason. They were missing some spots, last year. Budda Baker was it seemed like the only guy in the secondary. Everybody else was hurt. They were in shambles a little bit on defense. But they came back this offseason, and they strengthened every single hole they had. They acquired J.J. Watt. Chandler Jones comes back healthy. So that front seven looks pretty dangerous. I mean, they're definitely going to get after the quarterback, stop the run. And if this secondary that's newly revamped can answer the call against the pass, this could be a very under-the-radar type of defense and be very sneaky there. Arizona's offense, we already know. Kyler Murray. Guy runs the ball, he throws the ball, and now he's got even more weapons to disperse that ball to. So I think, all in all, I think Arizona's a more complete team right now. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
All right, there you go. So I think I'm going to agree again, which I was kind of on that hint, sticking with my gut there. So I think I'm going to do the same as well. And now we've got the Chargers at Washington football team. Again, Washington football team, they've got that tough defense. And but the question was going into the playoffs too. They were kind of weak at the quarterback position. We saw some nice things with
no receivers.
Yeah. With Tyler,
Scary Terry.
Yeah, and Tyler Heineke showed some promise that he could potentially be part of this team in the future. But that's what they go and try and get Ryan Fitzpatrick for to help maybe. Yes, the guy who shows up when he's called upon, but again, not long enough for it to be a full true starter throughout the season. So, but they're banking in on him and taking him a step further into the playoffs. They end up taking the division last year and playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and really played a hard game against them. So if they did have somebody that was able to perform a little better at the quarterback position, and now, like you said as well, they have the extra weapons there, not just Terry McLaurin. So Curtis Samuel, but then also another year, Logan Thomas. Again, if he could produce like he did last year, this offense is very nice to complement this defense here. But the Chargers, we saw them step up last year too.
Don't forget, Antonio Gibson's back now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was out with an injury last year, which kind of derailed that running game that they had.
Absolutely. When he was out there, he looked stupendous.
Very impressive.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that they have been looking for, because it seems like when they get the same type of running back, they get a good one, but he can't stay healthy and can't stay on the field ever. And that's the problem that they do have, Or
you're Darius Squeeze and get into trouble
that's completely something else. But again, now the Chargers, again, weaker on defense here, but that offense looks really good, especially under Justin Herbert. Ooh. What he's been able to do now, they've been asking for somebody that can keep a hold of the football, not make the mistakes and get them into trouble like Philip Rivers was, where everybody was saying that's what was holding them back. They've got the young guy. They were fortunate enough to get Justin Herbert here in the draft, and it shows. And it looks really good that now they have a strong point to try and press for that division and make a step forward here against the Washington football team. This is going to be an offensive team versus a really strong defensive team. Joe, I can't wait. What do you think about this one?
Well, I'll say this much, is the Chargers, they're definitely going to be super strong on the offensive part. They're also getting back Austin Eckler, who missed the season last year. PPR stud, catches the football, runs the football, does a lot for this offense, as well as on the defense. Listen, this team overall was riddled with injuries, and it seems like the past 3 seasons they've never had a completely healthy team in the beginning of week 1. It seems like everyone gets hurt before the season starts.
You would have thought the injury list was the roster.
Absolutely. And then you're getting back Derwin James finally from his rookie year. Listen, his rookie year was his only year he played. And then the last 2 seasons he's been injured and out. So let's see if he can come back from not only the injuries, can he stay healthy and be the same player, same impactful player he was in his rookie year. But the Chargers defense looks very sharp, looks very good. The Chargers offense with Justin Herbert at the command, there's no ceiling. Like, they could take the division. I guess, like, they definitely have to stay healthy for sure, but they're one of these teams that are they're a sleeper. You don't know how good they're going to do. We don't know how, if they're going to be able to hang with the big boys. But all in all, very complete team. Washington, on the other hand, stellar defense. Probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive line in the league. I mean, overall, they're absolutely insane. They've definitely upgraded the cornerback position, which was a weakness last year. So they're going to be even more dangerous than last season. Not to mention their offense is better. Ryan Fitzpatrick looks to be the starter for them and to carry the torch for the year. We'll see how long it lasts. Maybe he'll legitimately get his 1 year of starting availability and be able to play the whole season. We'll see. But Washington did great job in upgrading. They get Gibson back, like we mentioned before. This is a tough game. But what I'm going to go with is I think defense wins games. So I'm going to go with Washington against the Chargers. Not to mention Justin Herbert, he's been followed by these defensive coordinators now. Now they have a whole year of game tape on him to kind of help maybe see what his tendencies are and to trick him. But I'm going to go with Washington in this one.
Okay. I'm going to switch it up and go with the Chargers on this one here just to make it different here. I think you can go either way.
Real quick, before we move on to the next game, I want to give a shout-out to everybody listening on podcasts. Wherever you can listen to podcasts, Thank you guys for listening to us. Make sure you follow us. Give us a good rating. Whatever you want to do. But really appreciate you listening if you are. And make sure you follow us so you can get all our latest updated content as well.
Absolutely. All right, now moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Atlanta Falcons here, Joe. What do you got in this one here? Dirty Birds.
Listen, here's the thing: is Philly's coming in healthy. They got a healthy offensive line. It's definitely different than what we're used to. There's no more Jason Peters. He's moved on. There's a lot of kind of new blood now in the front on the front line here. So big question mark is how well will they play? The left tackle's new. You got Lance Johnstone returning at right tackle. Now, can he stay healthy? That would be nice, right, Philly fans? Definitely, I think a underrated type of offensive line. I think they're going to do very well. They got a lot of young wide receivers now. They got Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham. Did you know that he got cut? He got cut from the Eagles, so he's no longer there. I don't know if he got put on the practice squad or what have you, but and they also got their draft pick in Devontae Smith, who they have a lot of faith in. He's going to be a week 1 starter. And Miles Sanders and their defense. This is the problem that I have with their defense. They might have Darius Slay, and they got a good safety, and they got a good defensive line. But for me, the linebacking position is pretty weak, and that kind of concerns me with their defense and how they're going to orchestrate that. But Atlanta, they got a long way to go still. I mean, I feel like their defense, they still got their key players, their core players on defense, Grady Jackson, and you got Deion Jones at the linebacker position. But all in all, I still think they're in that rebuild mode on the defensive side to the point where Atlanta, in order for them to have a chance to win games, they're going to have to just either play keep up or they're just going to have to outscore everybody with their offense. And to me, I think it's all in favor with Philly. So I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one.
All right. Joe's going with the Eagles. Again, I think Atlanta, they've had their struggles at defense here, but overall, I think they're in a better position here than Philadelphia. And I like, even though I hate to say it, but Matt Ryan and that type of quarterback leading them other than Jalen Hurts.
He's a good quarterback.
Yeah, I know. It's funny they tried to put him in a higher tier, which I thought he was good. But as you've kind of seen with that, he hasn't been able to do enough to get them over that kind of echelon, I think.
The thing is like everybody, I know this
funny,
happens a lot.
He never gets dogged either. Everybody forgets about Matt Ryan. You never hear anything about Matt Ryan. Everybody loves Matt Ryan.
I think everybody hates Matt Ryan because he doesn't even get any love in fantasy. The guy just
that's true,
lasts on
too.
the
In
board
fantasy,
forever.